If you're watching this live, it is Thursday, the 19th of February, and I thought it'd be quite an interesting thing just to jump on. I've been up and down a little bit on the streams recently just because of volume of work. I've been a little bit ill for a little while, so I've been trying to catch up with a few bits and pieces. But we find ourselves in an interesting place and an interesting time right now. And if you have seen the news today, if you're watching this live, you'll know exactly why. Because the formerly known as Prince, the chappie, the Mountbatten Windsor chappie, or is it Windsor Mountbatten, has been arrested on his birthday, which is kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, didn't ever expect to see anything like that. So, if you are joining us today on Insta, if you're on Twitter, no, not on Twitter, Insta, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. There we go. Those are our four. Lovely to have you along this afternoon. I'm going to be on for maybe 20, 25 minutes. We'll see how the conversation goes. I'm guessing you should probably be working, but instead you are doing a bit of scrolling, and now you've landed here. So lovely to have you with me here today. If you know my stuff, you'll know I do a lot of satire and comment. So I will sometimes talk about politics, but not to argue for one political case over another, but to pull apart whatever's going on at the moment. And at the moment, thank you, the communists in number 10. You're giving us an awful lot of content to talk about. Right now, of course, we have Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who has been arrested, which is a very interesting story. Again, not something I ever thought I would see or be chatting about. So we can talk about that. We can talk about politics. We can talk about what Starmer and co are doing to be messing everything up. Tends to be the general order of events at the moment. Or we can just chat about any other stuff you want to get into. So if you are on TikTok and it's working okay, it seems to be freezing the screen there slightly. But if you are watching me on TikTok and we're okay, please do let me know. I don't know if that's just my screen back there, but we seem to be freezing a little bit on TikTok. Insta seems to be working, as does Facebook and YouTube. So what should we get into? Well, here's what's very interesting. As well as, of course, Andrew being arrested on his 66th birthday, oh bless, we also, of course, have isn't Andrew's arrest a great argument against the institution of the monarchy? There's our first comment, says Frank. Well, I'm not sure it is an argument against the institution of the monarchy, Frank. What I suggest it probably is absolute ringing indictment for this strange thing that both monarchy and government, and for that matter, local council seem to do, which is to try and keep everything secret. That, I think, is a major issue. Now, whether or not we think we should have a royal family, whether or not we feel we should slim them down, get rid of them, whether we're fans of them, it's kind of less of my argument. My argument, actually, Frank on TikTok, is far more that when things go wrong, and things are always going to go wrong, that actually they seem to close ranks. So even now, there is difficulty in getting any information out of anybody associated with the whole argument. And look, take this to a really small local point, right? Your local council, when they screw up, which they do on a regular basis, not just you, Frank, everyone, getting some kind of accountability, finding out who did what, who knew what, is virtually impossible. Because they say things like, oh, we can't, or it's freedom of information, oh, we will negate that. It's just always an argument. Tomo the Titan is giving himself a name there on Insta. What's the odds he doesn't plead guilty and doesn't give any evidence? Well, I don't know. I mean, this is the interesting thing, because we are in uncharted territory. So there's always been this royal prerogative where they kind of get away with stuff, right? And I don't mean that in a conspiracy way. I've not got a lot of time or money for conspiracies, but I do think that there's an interesting argument about why has he not been called to account, and if he does get called for account, does he get treated the same as everybody else? In which case, we'd be looking at contempt in court if he refuses to answer some of those questions. Can you plead guilty and not give any evidence? Well, you can't be made to give evidence, of course, but you can be sentenced. Hi Graham, how's things going? They're going very well. Vlogcast, thank you very much for asking on TikTok there. Really old 772025. That'll be 2025, Graham. I'm all over it. Really old. Oh, are you really old? I don't know. I can't tell. Why so quick to arrest Andrew and yet no movement on those? I'm not going to say those words out loud just because I'm streaming across a few platforms there. Well, I mean, I don't know. And I'm not sure they have been so quick. I mean, it feels like it's all happened very quickly because we didn't see it coming, perhaps. But has it been quick? I'm not sure it has. I think it's been casting around for quite some time now. It seems to me, at least, that it's been quite a long-term process to get it this far. So I'm not sure it is as fast as you might be indicating there. If you are on YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or Insta and you want to send me some waves or some hellos, if you're on Facebook, I think you can send me coins. Why would you do that? Just to help the algorithm know that you like my content. And whilst you're joining us, this is a bit of a random Thursday chat, because I was going to do one and I was going to do one. I got caught up with some work and some other work, and I thought, no, I will just jump on and put some content out. I've had some problems with some of my platforms as well today. No comments are still. Okay, I'm not sure you're not commenting on, but there we go. Emma Freeman, hello on YouTube. Hi to you. He doesn't have crown immunity, so he isn't in deep doo-doos. Well, Tom, yes, he doesn't have crown immunity anymore. So I do wonder, and Gwendy Bird, you ask a question that makes me very interested. When are Fergie and Mandelson getting arrested? Well, I don't know whether Fergie has any links to handing away information. I don't know how much information she ever had, but certainly there would be. Mandelson should be in a similar situation, because he did talk about, and there is, at least if those emails are correct, there is email copies of stuff he sent out. So that is a direct mirror of, currently, we believe Andrew MW is there because of misconduct in high office or public office. Now, I don't know if you know this, folks, but misconduct in public office carries a potential maximum sentence of lifetime imprisonment. Now, it's difficult to believe he's going to get lifetime imprisonment, but that's the maximum penalty. But certainly the question has to be asked, if he is there, then does he, as in Mandelson, does he also expect a little tap on the door? And why didn't Andrew vanish a little? Well, yeah, Red Temp, exactly. And YouTube, is this taking away the spotlight from Mandelson? He should be investigated in full. Yes, because I mean, that's the argument. Both of them appear, and I am saying appear, to have sent emails to and from that whole situation, sharing UK state secrets to what is a foreign national. So if the thought process is Andrew MW gets pulled in on that, then certain other people should as well. Was he or was she an enabler? Was a question that I saw from Gwendy Bird. Yes, but I don't know. I don't know where her links are in terms of this, along with anyone else involved, says Red Temp. Indeed, yes. In an alternate world, says Frank, where Andrew was the king, imagine that. How would the nation and our system handle it? Well, I don't know, because these things, I'm not saying these things have never happened. I'm sure people in high office have handed away secrets before, but on the occasions when they've got caught, it's been quite a serious punishment, hasn't it? You don't know what has ever been hidden before. You don't know what's going on. Who can tell? Tom the Titan over on Insta. If you are on Insta, by the way, if you do have a button to say like, or you're enjoying this or something similar, please go ahead and press that button now, lots of times. TikTok, let me just say, by the way, we have 506 likes on TikTok at the moment. This is a good live. I'm going to try and take as many of your comments as possible. But 506 likes is, if you don't mind me saying, a bit shabby. So if you want to just tap the screen quite quickly while we're chatting, it won't cost you a single penny. Gifts, of course, are a thing for you to decide. I never ask for them. Based on what's published, Mandy will also be arrested. Tom, that's the point. Tom over the Titan. That's absolutely the point, isn't it? If you follow it through as a logicality, both of them appear, according to those email images, to have copied information relating to the UK that they only got because of the role they had to somebody outside of the UK. And that is misconduct in public office. Part of the needs investigating, says Tez. I can't read that word. I'm sorry, Tez. Do I think the king gave advance permission to arrest the sweaty, says Han Solo. I mean, now we are in pure speculation, aren't we? It's difficult to believe, I would suspect, that he didn't know it was going to happen. It's really difficult to believe that he didn't know it was going to happen. Did he give advance notice? Who knows? Did he have to give permission for it? I don't know. Was it a courtesy that he was told? I don't know. Who can tell? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Trilateral. Right. I see. Thank you, Tez. I was a little confused by that word. Forgive me. Thank you. What else we got going on? Tower of London, says Finlay Clark. I don't think they use Tower of London for such things anymore, Finlay. I think the Tower of London is largely used to shake down tourists and day trippers on as much money as possible, in as short a time as possible. Although, of course, there is a Traitor's Gate. Anybody who's been there, of course, will still remember that. Mr. Skygrade or Mrs. Kygrade. I'm going to go with Mr. Skygrade needs to be arrested. If we're still talking about Mandelson, I suspect many people might think the same. I couldn't possibly comment. Glad he has a long time waiting. Yes, I suspect that's highly likely. And the interesting thing will be if he is in a police office building lockup tonight, quite how that's going for him. Because, of course, this is somebody who is used to doing and getting what he wants, how he wants it, when he wants it. And now we're in a situation where, no, he doesn't have that. So it's a bit of an interesting one. Right, I did say any questions. We've got a completely random question here from Hans Solo. Do you invest in any B2C businesses or is all yours B2B? Currently, I think, that sounds a bit vague, it's mainly B2B. It's not that I'm not open to B2C, but most conversations that I have or most opportunities that I'm offered are not great. Let me put it that way. I get offered to buy a few businesses or to work with a few business owners. It's often not straight investment because that's too much of a risk for me and I'm not going to do it. It's usually acquiring a business and then paying kind of almost like a royalty to the previous owner. So they get themselves out of a situation and we then pay over a period of time. So that's often how it works. Hand Solo, I see what he did there. 6x6 on the likes in TikTok, 701 on the likes in TikTok. That is a little bit chavvy, if you don't mind me saying, folks, on TikTok. This is a good live. It's a good, informative live. You can join in, you can ask questions, and that's a bit shabby, if you don't mind me saying. 9 viewers on TikTok. I'm assuming TikTok, we are working okay. It seems a slightly odd numbers at the moment. We see the images seem to be slightly clicky, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. 17 on Insta and on Facebook 5 and YouTube 35. Excellent, very good. Let's pick up some more of your messages. Weapons of Reason have joined on Insta, so as Jan Perry 31. Hello, Jan Perry. Glad you're here because you're so much better than Jan Perry 30. Just to say, definite improvement on the previous model. All right, what else anybody else wants to talk about? This is a bit of a random Thursday. I've literally just dropped in to see what people would like to talk about. And the obvious kind of exciting, interesting news is Chappie getting arrested. You know who I mean by Chappie. Have you noticed since Oracle's acquisition of TikTok, the algorithm is getting worse? Interesting question, Han Solo. I think a lot of people have noticed that TikTok seems to be behaving differently, seems to be behaving in an odd way. So what do I mean by that? I used to lead with TikTok. I didn't really get into social media until a year or two ago. I did get into TikTok about 5 years ago, but that was my only channel other than LinkedIn. And in the last year, I've been building quite aggressively is the wrong word, proactively, the other socials. And Facebook has, I mean, Insta has been running in the background for about 8-9 months and been growing pretty decently now. Facebook has become kind of the driver of everything, and YouTube is a bit fits and starts, but it's good, solid growth. TikTok, on the other hand, to answer your question, Han Solo, seems to have dropped right back. So I had a video blocked about a month ago, and it starts because you're being it was a comedy piece where I was claiming some ridiculous nonsense on behalf of the Labour government, and they said, "Oh, this isn't accurate," so some people will get confused by it. And when I kind of wrote back and went, it's obviously a comedy piece. No, they weren't having it. Gov.uk one login being digital ID by another name. The government's plans and rollout map have not changed. Weapons of reason, you're absolutely right, and it's an absolute mess. I wrote a piece on this for LinkedIn yesterday. I own a couple of businesses that are registered already with identity verification. I have to do it because I can't operate as a business director otherwise. But the other businesses haven't been registered. And when I went on to Companies House to try and fix this, no clear way to do it. Spent 20 minutes holding to speak to somebody. Spoke to somebody, then said, "No, I can't I can't do that. I can't help you." It's an absolute mess. It's a classic governmental mess, basically. Splodgy 1362 on YouTube just says Starmer lol. Yeah, it would be a lol, except Starmer kind of has the ability to make everything much more unpleasant for everybody. So not that much of a lol. Mr. Skygrade, is TikTok being monitored? I don't use it. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I suspect most platforms. It's interesting, isn't it, that Starmer was banging on today in The Guardian about how protecting women and girls was at the core of his very being. And for that reason, he's going to make social media follow the rules. Otherwise, they'll force them to follow the rules. But no mention of other situations where he absolutely hasn't looked after women and girls. So a little bit pick and mix there. Frank, if you want to talk about something different, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on inheritance. Probably very predictable, Frank. I think that anybody who achieves anything, makes anything, saves anything, takes any risks, starts a business, works really hard, buys something, holds, improves it, in all of those situations, you create a tax event, a tax liability. And inheritance is just one of the many ones where there is a tax liability created. There is no justification for it at all. There is no reason for it whatsoever. It's just yet another opportunity where the government stood there with its hands outstretched saying, "I want more money. I want more money from you." And we don't have a tax problem or a tax take problem. We have a spend problem. And the last government was no better. The current government is accelerating the madness. They are absolutely throwing our money at everything. They've got no control of it. They've got no concept of how much money they are wasting. They don't know where it's going. They don't know what they're spending. They don't understand. Where it's going so quickly, and all they do is keep pushing up the tax take whilst demanding that we pay more and more and more. In this country, if you succeed at anything, your reward is greater punishment and more tax to pay. If you can't be asked to do anything, your reward, not punishment, is the people who are punished lose some of their money so you can have more of it. In this country, if you need support, as in you genuinely need it, you are struggling to get anything meaningful out of the state. But in this country, if you're prepared to lie and be utterly feckless and take no responsibility for your life, Your reward is that other people will be forced to pay for you. And we are so hung up on this take no responsibility for your life, we can't see past it. And the argument quality that comes out of governments and stupid people who don't follow this is laughable. Their argument, and I've had people argue with me on this platform, is people say, oh, so you're in favor of children starving, are you? Because I've argued that why do we keep incentivizing people to have more and more children when they can't afford to have children already, right? Now, that's a perfectly reasonable question. And their instant kickback is, oh, you want children to starve. No one wants children to starve. And that's the moronic level of arguments that both politicians and stupid people who are allowed to vote for those politicians put forward. The argument is not, do we let children starve, or do we just keep throwing money at people who are utterly unsuited at being a parent? There are a range of difficulties, and I'm not saying it's an easy solution, by the way, but there are a range of potential solutions and difficulties and opportunities between those two extremes. But this is an old style, stupid political argument. If you're not in favor of that, you must be in favor of that. No, my argument is very simple. My argument is this: if you, as an adult, a young adult or whatever, if you are so ill prepared to have a child that you can't afford to feed that child, what on earth is going on in the world? We go, don't worry, we'll all pay for it. And having made that mistake, you then go, oh, you want another child? Yeah, no problem, don't worry, we'll all pay for it. Starmer a few months ago stood up and talked about what an incredible job he had done, an amazing job he had done in creating breakfast clubs for school children. This is amazing. No more hungry school children. We did that. Now, let's recap for the stupid ones at the back. That includes politicians and people who vote for them. No one is saying children should be hungry because they've got thick, stupid parents. No one's arguing that. I'm not arguing that. But I'm pointing out that if you believe that it is a measure of success that we have accepted in this country, that it's a good idea for the state to feed our children, that's it. You don't have a clue what's going on. You don't know which way is up. You don't know. I mean, literally, you've lost the plot. You don't have a clue what you're doing, and the fact that you're allowed to keep having children is shocking and terrifying. Let me pick up some more of your messages. What kind of businesses are you in? Training businesses and property businesses and developmental businesses. I'm in splodgers. I don't personally believe I should be entitled to my parents' money within reason. I didn't earn it. Fair enough, Han Solo. I don't know if you have children in your life, but my suspicion is if you don't, you may change your mind when you do. Because at that point, if you've worked and strived and everything you can, most parents would like their children to do better than them. That's what most, again, can't speak on behalf of all parents, but most parents would like their children to go further, farther, better, to be more successful. Now, it's only the deadbeats who rely on everyone else to pay for them. They go, oh, no, just go and queue up there, say you're poorly, say you've got a, I mean, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute danger. Bloody love your content. Thank you, Keely Louise on Insta. I bloody love your comments too. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Do you think the tax on unrealized profits the Netherlands are looking to debut like to come to these shores? I mean, that is madness of a level that it's almost impossible to believe, isn't it? It's almost impossible to believe it's tax on profits that haven't yet been realized. Because what happens if you pay the tax and then the cost, or the value rather, of the asset drops? Are we then saying you get some kind of rebate? Probably not, are we? Hi everyone here from Dublin, Ireland. Is it okay to join on the chat? Of course it is, Shelley. Good to see you here. What do I reckon about Andy from Norfolk? Yeah, we've been talking about Andy from Norfolk. I don't think he's going to have a particularly good evening, is he? Given this viewpoint, are you in favour of a woman's right to terminate pregnancy? Well, again, look, there's nothing in life with humans is actually that simple, is it? There's always going to be difficult parts of this here. So, yeah, the instant argument is, of course, yeah, it's her body, it's her choice, and away we go there. But then we have the flip side of that, which is if you have a committed relationship and you've got a him and a her involved in this relationship, and I'm sorry if that's a bit old school for you, but hey, there we are. Is it as simple as that she can decide and he has no input to that? I mean, that's kind of where we are at the moment. That's very, very difficult if you're in that situation and you're the him and she has decided that. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I'm working towards being able to afford kids, so taxing us for not having kids is not helping, says, is that Janda or Yanda? Absolutely. Free school dinners aren't actually free. Of course they're not, Picklock. Of course they're not. Picklock on TikTok. Picklock on TikTok. Love what you've done there. No, of course they're not. Nothing's free. When morons stand up and say, oh, it's free, Starmer, I'm looking at you, a mandatory digital ID free at the point of delivery. It's not free, you fucking moron. Those of us who are contributors to the state, we have to pay for it. And this is one of my recurring points. If you have any level of success in a PAYE, self-employed, running a small business, if you've bought something, you've done it up, if you've bought an asset and you've looked after it for years, it's passive income, it's unearned, you have to pay for all the deadbeats that don't do anything. And the deadbeats get free stuff and reduced prices of stuff. And you, depending on how successful you are, not only don't get that, but you also don't get any allowances either. On another note, drove across the country last week, says Red Temp in YouTube. The state of the roads is terrible everywhere. Potholes that are so deep they call accidents. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are horrendous potholes everywhere you go. It's just dreadful, isn't it? Restore, split the vote, and restore or reform. Thank you, Isaac. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think what's happened is reform turned up and showed the political world that there's an interest in what might be called old-fashioned conservatives. Polanski, whatever you think of the politics, Polanski looked at reform and thought, I reckon I can do that. So Polanski's turned up and done what some people might think is old form Labour. Slightly nutty, but old form Labour. Now, of course, we've got all these other versions that are splitting off there. You notice Corbyn and Sultana haven't been in the news for a good while, have they? Because Polanski has turned up and has got a far better publicity machine. Corbyn's an old duffer. Sultana hasn't got a clue. She was only there because of him anyway. So I don't know about how that will split the vote or help. British Roads mentioned also in Insta. British Roads make 35 billion from our roads, excise duty 17 billion to fix our roads. I know, it's insanity, isn't it? No roads have been fixed for decades. That's fraud in my eyes. I think that probably, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say it's not, isn't it? Was that the Young Ones reference? Weapons of Reason. I don't remember what I said, so it might have been inadvertently or otherwise. Nice glaze over the point there, says Yanda. I'm not sure if I was glazing over the point. I think I was trying to argue reasonably, fairly, and responsibly. Yep, George, free dinners aren't free. Polanski is more old school Russia. I think so too, Isaac, on TikTok. Storm's government, this is Kerry Sparks on Facebook. Storm's government voted against an inquiry into the abuse of our children. Now there's been a public funded inquiry with absolutely awful findings. Will Starmer push for full investigation with prosecution and deportation as required? He wants to remove judge and jury who he's trying to protect. Kerry, I mean, every argument that comes out of his mouth and out of his top team's mouth is just random, isn't it? He argues for whatever seems to be something he thinks he'll win that day. I think he's got no long form plan other than be in power. I think he's got nothing about him that screams credibility or any degree of honour. I don't think there's anything about him and his team that anyone in the country can look to and go, yeah, that's an honourable person. Right, we'll start wrapping this up in the next couple of minutes now, folks. Just as we're really going, I've got to get going onto a thing I'm doing later on. Young adults. I see Weapons of Reason. No, it wasn't. But thank you. Great impression, 10 out of 10. Oh, yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I'm with Restore. I don't like what Reform has done to Rupert. Fair point. Okay. And TikTok, let's wrap up there. Are you a Reform supporter? I don't ever claim any support of any politics, hand solo, because it gives me freedom to criticise any of them. What I've noticed is the moment you say I support X, Y, or Z party, morons pop up and tell you why you're wrong. Now, very happy to disagree and discuss and kick ideas around, but the moment you go, I support this, What's funny is all the time we had Conservatives in, and I was tearing strips off them because they were dreadful, the last Conservative Party. The moment Labour got in, I started tearing strips off them, and all these aggrieved lefties popped up going, where were you when the Conservatives were? Is it? Well, I did actually, but never mind. What's your background? Do you run your own business? Yeah, I run a few businesses, Isaac. Some training businesses, some property business, some information business, and a thing to help people build and develop their lives is a digital thing I've been developing on here. Do you believe in supply and demand in the housing department as opposed to what, Daniel? He'll be asking for the wine menu and the sales. Oh yeah, we're going back to Andy of Norfolk. Your comments are spot on. Thank you, Gerard. We had 2 children because we couldn't afford more, and we got nothing for the first child at first. Gerard, it seems to be it's an old school idea. Why wouldn't people work on the basis of, can I afford this? No, I better not do it then. Paint a George cross at the bottom of the potholes to get them filled in quick. That's right, Red Temp. Right, folks. In terms of the housing crisis and NIMBYism, Dan, I can answer that right now. I'm really sorry. I've got to jump on to my next thing. Folks, thank you all for being here. If you like what I do, make sure you're following me. And if you check my profile, you'll see a weird little link there that will take you to where you can buy my book, which talks about the wealth formula. You'll notice I put this right at the end, so there's no sale on it all the way through. There's also a thing you can do, the wealth reset, which gives you some nice little things to stop spending so much, make a little bit more, and get more balance in your life. Thank you all for